Hey guys, I'm back. So I'm sorry about not recording for a while or posting any videos or anything like that. So I got some new projects. This is an engine from an old Honda lawnmower. It's a 4514. It's like 360-ish cc's. It sort of runs. It runs on starting fluid. I think there's something wrong with the carburetor. But that could definitely go on something. And this is the engine from that go-kart that I did the carburetor clean on. And I put it in this Yamaha DT100 from 1979. I mean, I placed it in the engine bay. I didn't actually secure it in any way. And what's going to go in this go-kart that's all taken apart is the engine from this snowblower over here, because it's a lot bigger and it makes more power. And my family's not using the snowblower anymore. They said I could have it. And what's going to make a lot of that possible is over here, I have, ta-da, my very own welder. So, this is a Lincoln Electric WeldPak 155, and all I have to do is convert, since my uncle had this arc stick welder thing that's also made by Lincoln Electric in the shop already, so he ran a 50 amp or 30 amp 250 volt plug out here. Comes through the ceiling, but it's not, as you can see, this is not the right plug for the welder. So I'm gonna switch out the plug and convert the breaker to, instead of being 30 amp, it'll be 50 amp. And then I gotta do a little bit of practicing because I've only welded once before. But what I'm planning on doing is welding an engine plate onto the frame on this Yamaha DT100 so that I can put that go-kart, the engine from that go-kart on there. And actually, what's kind of cool is if everything else on the bike passes, this could be a street legal motorcycle, because it doesn't matter what engine is in there as long as it has all the safety features and everything and emissions to pass inspection. And this, you guys know, is my 1981 Honda XL125S. And so while I was doing a carburetor clean on this thing, I messed up the carburetor by screwing in a jet in the wrong place. So don't do that when you're doing a carburetor clean. But I got a new carburetor on eBay for like 20 bucks. And I chopped off the exhaust here because I think my muffler, let's see, where's my muffler? It was kind of restrictive. It's right here. That's my muffler. It was inside, underneath this panel. And it's really, really loud now. But I think it makes more power. And I gave it more fuel. I adjusted the air-fuel ratio on that carburetor. I'm probably just not good at tuning carbs, but it runs great. It just doesn't want to idle. I'm also going to get a new spark plug sometime soon. But let's see if I can start this thing up, show you guys how it sounds. It sounds awesome. It just dies if I let go of the throttle. So that's something to figure out. I could idle it higher. I've tried turning up the idle, but I noticed that what happens when I turn up the idle is that it idles too high. Like well, it idles where I want it to, but it takes a while for it to return to idle if I set the idle any higher than that. Which means I have to clutch and brake instead of downshifting, which is a pain. Because I've gotten used to the old carburetor, which would just... Well, you guys saw me replace the throttle cable. But once I replaced the throttle cable, if you let go of the throttle, it would just go right back down to idle immediately. So I could... Hi, Enzo. So that it would just go back down to idle immediately, so I could use the engine to brake by downshifting. Doesn't do that anymore, which I don't really like. But I'll work on fixing that. So yeah, that was my quick update. I'll probably have some videos of me welding, which will be kind of cool, or practicing welding even, just on scraps of metal, after I get that plug installed. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. More content coming. Another thing I forgot to mention, guys, is I took the foot peg off on my dirt bike because recently I dropped it, and it's got this little crack. See there? That's just a little rubber thing to keep it from vibrating. But it was like way bent. Like this whole part was bent. And the foot peg was like facing towards the ground if it was on the dirt bike. And so I think this is another thing I'm going to use the welder for. I'll take this little rubber part out so I don't melt it. And just make a nice bead along that crack. Maybe I could get it a little bit tighter. But yeah. So that's another project.